I've got a drawer full of cardboard 3D glasses. The gauntlet is opening, and it's starving. Happy Halloween, and welcome to the Horror Nights Gauntlet. My name is Dakota, and I will be your host as we attempt the impossible task of ranking 142 of Universal Orlando's Halloween Horror Nights haunted houses. So I guess the question is, what's going on with the Horror Nights Gauntlet? What is it? I keep seeing it on social media. Of the 7 people who follow me on social media, what is this? And why were you promising August and it's now September? And the answer is, there's a pandemic, and I am running out of money. Essentially, what isn't the Horror Nights Gauntlet is maybe a better question. It's not an S to F tier list. It's not a grouping of haunted houses that I think hold the same weight as each other. It's not a bracket. I don't understand sports. I don't know how that works, and I don't know how to do a bracket, so I'm not going to. But there's a really great one on HHN 365 that I really recommend you check out. It is not a 1 to 5 Zubu spooky skull ranking. I am bad at math and I don't want to do averages, and I think with this being a list of haunted houses that I'm giving you, it needs to be as subjective as possible. So fuck all that. This is a list. This is my personal list of every haunted house I have experienced at Halloween Horror Nights Orlando, from worst to best. And it's going to start out with a lot of bitching, and I really hope you guys will just bear with me. I know it's going to seem really negative as we go on this journey together, but at the end I think we can have a long-lasting and really inventive and interesting conversation about what we as a community really love about this event and what we just f***ing hate. So I think we as a community love to, every year we kind of like to take our hype list and compare it against what our finished annual list is of haunted houses. This is that on a grand scale. So this is my personal list of every house I've personally attended at Universal Orlando, excluding Howl-O-Scream, excluding Hollywood, anything global. And we're just exclusively kind of trying to take that idea and compare every single year. And it really puts into perspective where we feel about things and how something that may have been the worst one year is in fact actually quite good. I'm a theme park fan. I've been a theme park fan my whole life, of that sort of theater and art and film and three-dimensional storytelling and the sort of world building that you can experience only really in person. And I think Horror Nights represents a lot of that for me and for the kind of people who never really grew out of going to Disney World and going to Universal Studios. If you're watching this, I assume you're one of those people, and that's really who I am and what this is. And I really, to be completely sincere and just kind of drop the bullshit for a second, I really do really hope we can make some really lasting connections. So I'm really looking forward to doing this with you guys and seeing kind of what everyone thinks and what everyone wants to share with me and share back through this kind of communal discussion about our history. I know a lot of you have been going longer than I have. I've been going for a really f***ing long time. I've been going since 1999. I was 7. I should not have been going to Halloween Horror Nights. So I have a lot of memories. I've gotten to do a lot of haunted houses, and it's a privilege that I think provides an interesting opportunity to talk just about an ungodly amount of haunted houses. So that's really what this is. So I guess we can kind of just get into what we're not going to do. The houses I'm not going to rank. And some of them are houses I just didn't get to do, and some of them are houses that I did do that I just don't think count. So if I'm going to rank 142 haunted houses, I unfortunately cannot rank any haunted houses that happened from Fright Nights through Halloween Horror Nights 8. I didn't go. I also did not go to Halloween Horror Nights 9, or no, I'm sorry, Halloween Horror Nights 10 or Halloween Horror Nights 11. And then there's just a couple of years where I missed a house or two. I'm ashamed, and some of them are really disappointing. So I guess let's start there. What am I not ranking? 1999, Insanity. I did it apparently, but I don't remember it. I have no memory. I was 7. I think I probably had my eyes shut, buried in my dad's back the whole time. I don't remember it. I remember other houses that year, but I'm just not going to include it in this ranking. 1999, Doomsday. Didn't do it. I can't speak on it. Sounded cool. Sounded like that Arnold Schwarzenegger movie. And End of Days? You remember? Yeah. So, like, I guess it was like some kind of, like, crashed subway kind of thing. I wish I could have done it. It seems cool. There's concept art of it. I'll probably post it here, yeah, there. But there's not a lot of footage I can find of it. The next year that I didn't get to do anything, 2003, I only did 3 of those 6 houses, and that's the last year I missed a house. So, Jungle of Doom, cool voodoo house in the Jurassic Park area of the park. Did not get to do it. It was an outdoor house, voodoo themed, jungle themed. Really regret that. It was a big one for me. Did not get to do Ship of Screams. Really regret that. Very kind of a spiritual successor to the SS Frightanic house from a few years prior. Didn't get to do it. And lastly, and this one is the one that stings the most. I was there that year. I did not get to do the original Psychoscarapy. So I will not be on this ranking. So I'm sorry to Psychoscarapy fans. Every other house in that series will be on this list at some point, but the original is not going to be. So I do apologize. As far as 2 other experiences that I think could be on this list, but I just don't really think it's fair to include them. In 2005, there was an experience called Rat Run. I didn't actually do it. It was a cage, a chain link fence thing with Jack up on a stanchion, kind of shouting at people. I didn't do it. I'm sorry. And also, it wasn't a house. It's not listed as a house. Just an extra experience. I don't think it counts. The other one is 2016's Repository. I did do it. I have thoughts on it, and maybe we'll talk about it in a special maybe in the future. But you entered it from outside of the park in City Walk. You exited out into City Walk. As far as I'm concerned, it was not the 10th haunted house of 2016. I don't think it counts. And that's it. That's what we're not going to talk about. That's all you're going to hear from me on the subject. So let's move into the fun stuff, and that is the worst house I've ever experienced at Halloween Horror Nights. And I'm sorry for a little while. I don't want you to just click away because I'm being so f***ing negative, but it's going to be really f***ing negative. So let's get into it. So I feel like I need to preface this. I actually like Halloween Horror Nights. I love Halloween Horror Nights, but we've got to talk some mad shit for a while. So I guess I just have to preface this. Bear with me. This is the worst haunted house in Halloween Horror Nights history. So let's, hit me. Come on. Let's do it. Baby. More. 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 Too much head. More. Beautiful. That's her. Yeah, that's it. That's how I feel about Cold Blind Terror. Yeah. Cold Blind Terror, my least favorite Horror Nights haunted house in the history of the event, the history of ever, history that I've been going. What is it? What was it advertised as? Cold Blind Terror was a haunted house at 2005, so it was Halloween Horror Nights 15, Tales of Terror. It was hosted in Soundstage 20, if that means anything to those of you who actually pay attention to what the Soundstage numbers are. And it was, let's see, that year was Islands of Adventure, right? Yeah, Terra Cruentus. This house was advertised as if it was going to be, let's see, bone-chilling cold and blind terror numb the senses as one cannot see, one cannot hear, and one cannot escape. And then it goes on about in and out of cold and darkness, and I don't want to read this entire thing because I f***ing hate this haunted house. And I think a trend you're kind of going to see with these are if there's nothing to look at, then I don't have any opinion on it. And this haunted house was kind of one of those experimental houses, which I've a lot of love for experimenting at Horror Nights. I just think this was lazy. I think it was shit. It was really bad. There's a lot of cool ideas. I think in theory, sensory deprivation could be really interesting. But as far as what was advertised and what we received, I think it kind of missed the mark a lot. I love the logo. It looks a lot like The Thing. Let's see. There is the Halloween Horror Nights wiki. Very helpful for anyone wanting to see shit. It does have a couple pictures. I think this was saved from alwayshalloween.com of the facade. I had another one I found. Yeah, this is where was this? Oh, HHN Yearbook has a picture of the facade too. It's kind of that black and white zigzaggy kind of thing with a bunch of mirrors. You know, Halloween Horror Nights loves to do this thing where they, at least they used to love to do this thing in the 2000s. They would take a wall and it was like a checkerboard, and it would be like people in checkerboard costumes, and they'd hit it with a strobe light. And the idea was that you wouldn't be able to see the person in the checkerboard costume, but like they just kind of looked like people in checkerboard costumes, and it just kind of looked shitty. And I feel like that was this haunted house in a nutshell, was just like people in the dark and strobe lights and people dressed like checkerboards. And it felt like maybe it should have been a 3D house. But there was a foam room, so there was foam. There was soap. I don't know what else to say about this house. I really hated it.
Is it worse than a Howl-O-Scream haunted house?
It was down there with it. Maybe like what would you say a really bad Howl-O-Scream house is?
I mean, most of their 3D houses, or...
I don't know. I feel like I've done Screamageddon 3D houses that I liked better than this, which was not a 3D house.
Mm-hmm. Is it the worst haunted house you've ever done? Community centers, churches?
Maybe... I'm sure I've done worse, like, community center haunted. I don't know, though. There's, like... I think, like, the fact that it was Universal Orlando and the budget you expect, It's nothing. It's black walls. I guess it's like if... It's shitty. It's like if John Murdy was allowed to do an entire haunted house. Black walls and nothing.
So that's the kind of tea we're spilling on episode 1, huh?
This is just black walls, black... Everything was black, and then occasionally there was foam. There's a foam party room, which was cool. This house sucked. I don't have anything to say. I don't remember anything because it sucked. You can read a description. Listen, if you want to hear people describe every haunted house scene by scene, you can listen to a lot better podcasts out there. The Catacombs of Halloween Horror Nights, they did a really great follow-up on all of these houses. I'm not talking any more shit about this house. Fuck this house. You could read Christopher Ripley's book. You could listen to The Catacombs of Halloween Horror Nights. And even then, I don't think any of them had very much to say about this house, because it sucked dick. It sucked. It sucked ass. It was bad. It was awful. Terrible haunted house. My worst haunted house by far. It was unquestionable. I didn't have to think about it. It was really easy. Fuck this house. So, fuck Cold Blind Terror. Let's move on. Number 141. I know a lot of people have very strong opinions about this. This is a much more recent house. It's an icon house. I think a lot of people have very strong opinions on this one. 2016's Lunatics Playground 3D, You Won't Stand a Chance, comes in at number 141, my second least favorite house of all time. Just absolute trash. Monster of trash. And let's get into it, because I feel like I have a lot more to say about this, because it was more recent. I remember it better, and there are videos of it on the internet, so I could watch them before I talked about it. I feel like there's some positives I could throw at it. I like that it was a proper sequel to the Jack story from the year prior. I liked the facade, that newspaper thing with I'll put up a picture with the clipping, and like in it was like they were playing the short film with her like how she got arrested. I liked all that. I liked there was these moments in that house where it was like you're in an insane asylum and like you can see like elements of reality and then chances like crazy slipping through, where it's like, oh, a padded bed and padded walls and checkered floor and like ooh ooky spooky glow in the dark shit. I like that. But then like I don't know, there's rooms where there's people painted like lightning, and rooms with like, I don't know, big-headed dolls with raver hair, and I don't fucking get it. I hate this house. This hot mess. I don't know anyone who really likes it. I've heard a couple of like defenses. And I could go on a tangent about how I feel about Chance as a character. Do I want to talk about Chance? I think that Chance as a character and her defenders, which by all means, if you like Chance, like, fuck me, I don't care. Whatever.
Chance stands, come for me.
Come for me, Chance stands. I don't care. Like, cool. I'm glad you like her. And honestly, I think her design is cool, but that's because I like Harley Quinn. No, Chance, I like Chance in the context of when she was introduced in 2007. I like that she got to be her little sidekick to Jack, and it was obviously, you know, a reference to Harley Quinn because it was 2007 and The Dark Knight was about to come out and everyone was talking about the Joker, and Harley Quinn was still like a Z-list comic book character that only like pretty like big Batman fans were, maybe not no one knew about her, but you know what I mean. Chance worked just fine then, but as an icon on her own, I think it's a stretch to say that she's anything but Harley Quinn. Shout out to Erin though, great actress and beautiful performance, and the costume design, especially her 2016 costume design. I think it's great, love it, and I think I've seen a few cosplayers of it, looks really great. So I don't hate Chance, I just don't love her. And I really fucking hated this haunted house.
I mean, Suicide Squad came out in 2016, right?
Oh my god, yeah, no, and Suicide Squad came out in 2016. Okay, we used to talk about this that year so much, about how you had Suicide Squad was out that year, so Harley Quinn was everywhere. And Harley Quinn had been big now. We were talking about Suicide Squad?
Yeah.
Fuck Suicide Squad. Anyway, what were we saying? Suicide Squad came out that year. Yeah, and so did we talked about that a lot. And Chance is fucking Harley Quinn, and 2016 was the year of Harley Quinn and Chance also. And was Harley Quinn in Bill and Ted? She wasn't. You don't think so? No. He doesn't think so. Everybody. Number 140. This is a house I don't actually remember anymore, but it has been documented and I've watched it a lot. 2002's Fear Factor. This is also our first IP house of the list, technically. It's weird because I don't think of Fear Factor as an IP house, but it definitely was. Fear Factor was a steaming pile of shit. Fear Factor was in Thunder Falls Terrace. Is the restaurant next to Jurassic Park, and you entered it. You waited in line where Kong is now, and I remember that. I actually remember that, and I remember being. I remember there being a lot of sticky shit, and other than that, all of the rest of my memories are painted by that Travel Channel documentary. Now would be a great time for me to lift it up, but I'm not going to go get it. Hang on, audience. He's digging for it.
Is it
it's under H.
Horror Nights?
It's under H. I think it's Horror Nights, The Art of the Scare.
Oh, H.
He's getting it.
Oh, H.
I'm keeping this. I'm keeping this in the shot. Oh, wait. Thank you. Universal Orlando's Horror Nights, The Art of the Scare, available on DVD, not on Blu-ray. We know what you're afraid of. I'm going to put some footage from this that I'm going to steal from YouTube because I don't have a disc drive anymore. I'm not reading this to you. Lightship Entertainment, runtime 48 minutes. I've watched this hundreds of times. I love it. I love it so much. I'll leave it there. Alright, but Fear Factor was a steaming pile of shit, and there's a bunch of footage of it on there. And there's this video of this blonde woman going, yeah! And I love it. But the idea was that it was like, what's the description? Imagine a place where your greatest fears become reality. Feel your way through absolute darkness in room crawling? not in rooms, in a room crawling with insects, snakes, spiders, worms, rats, and more. I feel like this house was the equivalent of that Halloween party gimmick where, like, you fill a bowl with spaghetti and you put your fucking hand in it. That was this house in a nutshell. Like, it's like you crawl around in the dark. Once again, the theme of haunted houses I hate, other than Chance, is that there's no theming. Just black walls, Hollywood style, nothing. Black plywood, and just little windows of, like, it's a tarantula terrarium, and then a girl with a tarantula's like, "Dad!" And, like, I just picture, like I'm imagining, like, the fucking spiders and little roaches are like, it's been 45 minutes, where's Cass B? Like, this house is so stupid. Like, oh, are you afraid of the snake exhibit at the aquarium? This house is awful.
I love that the description says, and worms. Like, that's
Worms.
like, that's the scary worms.
Worms. They got worms, man. I can't fuck with this house.
I draw the line at worms.
Earthworms. Tapeworms.
I didn't know you liked eating worms.
It's your dog has heartworms and you have to put it down. The haunted house is you. You got a table. It's your dog, and they're telling you your dog has heartworms, and there's nothing we can do about it.
Oh my god.
It's Fear Factor though, but so I feel like the house was there was like a vat of like bull semen, and you had to swim.
Joe Rogan's
the house is just Joe Rogan smoking a fat blunt, and he's like, chemtrails. I thought we were done making jokes about it, but we're not. Okay. House number 139. This is a house from a year that everyone loves. Everyone has nothing but praises to sing about this year. And I want to remind you of the absolute piece of shit turd that was 2007's Vampire Bloodbath. What can I say about Vampire Bloodbath? It was a piece of shit. There's like no footage. Actually, no, there is a walkthrough. I found, who posted it? Let's see. HHN Yearbook has the preview we could throw up from the website, which is literally basically the whole house with like no actors in it. It was a nightclub, a vampire nightclub. It was a sequel to the much beloved Castle Vampire from 2004, and I think it was also a sequel to the Scare Zone Blood Masquerade, but it was shit. It was in Nazar. I can never fucking pronounce. Is it Nazermans or Nazermans? Where Starbucks and Sting Alley and Ben & Jerry's are.
I was assuming Nazermans.
Nazermans? He says Nazermans. I can't pronounce. Y'all can read me for filth, I guess. The cool thing about this house is that it closed off Sting Alley, and it took over the buildings over where the Kitty Cat Club are, and it went through what is now Starbucks. But it actually, like, you went outside. You went from one building, you went outdoors, down Sting Alley, and you had all that beautiful, like, Sting Alley architecture, and then you went back into the other building. And the theme was that you were in, like, a vampire nightclub, and so according to the description, there was, like, a vampire war, but I don't fucking remember that. But, yeah, and it's like, it was a piece of shit. It was, this could have been cool. I just imagine, like, Blade showing up and be like, ugh. Oh, I love the facade though. It's just a neon sign and it looks like the Prince symbol. Yeah, I don't know. Fuck this house, dude. There's a pretty decent walkthrough from 2007, and it's we got a night vision walkthrough, and what I love about it is this. Really, any haunted house walkthrough, which shout out to anyone who was recording these houses back in like 2007, because the visuals are just terrible, and you guys really are the only thing that's recorded some of these. But They always have, like, the worst, like, MIDI horror soundtrack, like, little organ, like, shitty soundtrack. So, Castle Vampire had this, like, incredible scene that, like, there was a lot of moments in that house that were really, like, breathtaking. I'm not reviewing that house, so I'm not going to go into details, but there was this moment that I feel like inspired Vampire Bloodbath, and it was this, very Blade, like, nightclub moment. It's, like, clearly, like, a shower, bath house kind of thing, and, I found that very inspiring. And I just remember specifically though, like, it was like a lot of like red and white strobes. They were spraying water on you, but because of the red strobe, it kind of like felt like you were getting hit with like warm blood, which was like, ooh. And like that like techno song from Blade, like the first Blade, the good Blade, is like pumping in the background. And I feel like that was the vibe they wanted the whole house for Vampire Bloodbath to be. And I feel like they like tried to like recreate that vibe. And I remember that like that exact same song, I could not tell you the name of it, was playing in the alley while you're waiting in line to get into this house. And alright, moving on. House 138, 2004's Disorientorium. I feel similarly about this house as I do about Cold Blind Terror. I don't have a ton to say. I think, if anything, if I could just put up another image of that, like, black and white checkerboard wall with the black and white guy, like that's this house, again. This one at least was in color. I feel like this one really begs the question, like, there was light here of why it wasn't in 3D. Got some pictures, and, it looks like a 3D house, but with no 3D glasses. I don't remember much. I do remember that the Treeks and Foons from the foam zone, like 2002, were there. This was a weak house in a really good year. So I guess I should like throw a caveat in that I feel like I've consistently kind of, and I'm going to kind of consistently shit on haunted houses that are effects based, be it experimental or 3D. It doesn't mean I necessarily think all of these are complete failures, and just making the bottom list doesn't necessarily even mean that it was a pretty bad house. But I think that in this case, the reason it doesn't work is I think this feels like a 3D haunted house without the 3D. It's that black and white, green, blue, and orange day glow kind of thing without the chroma depth. With that kind of wanting to create an optical illusion. How did they pitch this house? It was the wiki probably has a description. Yeah. Oh my god, I hate this. It's a the description is literally like a nonsense poem. I'm not gonna read the whole thing. Here hours stretch and reality blends. Up is last and everything bends. It's like a Dr. Seuss. I understand what this house wanted to be, and I think they wanted it to feel like a drug trip. They wanted it to feel like a bad trip, but it's just bad. So like, if you were to ask me why maybe this got ranked higher than Chance, I think it's somewhat of a level of, well, I can see that there is a lack of quality that makes this objectively bad, but then there is also a lack of vehement hatred that pushes this a little bit higher than something, say, Chance or Vampire, where those are things that my hatred has outlasted even my memory of them, or even my emotions for them. This is a subjective list, and I want to hear why you think Chance is great. I want to hear why you think Disorientorium is great. And if you were in the cast for any of these, I'm so sorry that I don't like your haunted house. It's really nothing personal. But it landed here at number 5. Disorientorium. Alright, moving on. Out of the top, or out of the bottom 5, and moving on to House 137, 2008's Doomsday. I don't really remember this house. I remember the movie, and this is our first This is the first IP house that's a movie. And it's the lowest one. I feel like I did this movie dirty when I first saw it. Do you remember this movie? It's like... I thought it was going to be a lot like 28 Days Later, and I saw the movie. I remember sitting in the theater and being like, why is she in a castle? Why are they driving around in cars? And then I saw, like, Mad Max and Escape from New York and all these other movies it's clearly ripping on. And, like, you know, 28-year-old Dakota is like, wow, 16-year-old Dakota needs to check his ass, because I feel like I would like this movie a lot more now, but I admittedly have not seen this in, like, 12 years. So... the haunted house, I remember the facade. I feel like I have a picture of it. Who am I quoting for this one? Dread Central? Yeah, there was that big... Oh, do you remember? It was like the wall... You enter London, and there's a big entrance to London that says R.I.P. And it's like... So the plot of Doomsday is that there's a virus, and years pass by, and... the zombies are being zombies again, and this Kate Beckinsale knockoff goes to, like, take care of it, and she's got to break into London, but these Mad Max street gangs have taken over London, and then she goes in hiding in this rural castle in England where people have regressed to, like, medieval times, and then there's this, honestly, bitchin', like, Mad Max car chase, and the haunted house was none of those things. The haunted house was bad, and it is down here towards the bottom, and that's really all I have to say about it. And I'm sure I'm going to cut in some clips from this movie because it was much better than this haunted house. Oh yeah, there was that part where the guy, but he never was hot like the guy in the movie. The guy in the movie was like, he was kind of jacked, right? I don't remember. I remember he had a, like, mohawk. He was, like, shirtless the whole movie. Did he sing in the movie? There was a guy singing on a stage in the house. It was, like, the end of the house, too, as if that was, like, a big finale. Like, whoa, we're at a party! And it's like, but needs a flashlight. Keep moving. Like, don't stop. Do not watch. Bad house. I don't know. It was in the I'm sorry, I didn't tell you guys anything about this house. It was in the disaster building, the disaster queue, and, it was trash. It was awful. It was really bad. And one day I will find the tab I had open to read you the description, but even my computer's like, can we just don't do it. Don't do it. Don't make them think about it anymore. Alright. And closing it out for this week, House 136. A house that... in retrospect, I feel like I did really dirty by dropping it this low, and maybe one day I'll give it a chance to redeem itself. But today, coming in at 136 is 2013's Afterlife, Death's Vengeance. So, when I was creating this list, I really didn't want to consume any, like, media of the houses as much as possible. I wanted to try and do this based on how I remember feeling about them. Beyond, like, their logos, to, like, just, if I completely forgot a house, to remind myself, like, I really just wanted to be able to say, this house was worse than this house, but was it worse than this house? But was it worse than this house? And, like, so on and so forth. And, based on my memories of Afterlife's Death's Vengeance, I remember in 2013 we fucking hated this house. We were, like, after shit, and we, like, did not want to do it ever. And I know it was because we were comparing it to the In-Between in 2011, and I placed it really low, and when I was doing my research to actually film the episode after I'd created the list, I was rewatching and I was looking at some of the content, and it's not great, but I don't know that it deserves to be this low. So perhaps one day I will try and give it a little bit of a redemption, but let's get into Afterlife. The official description is that serial killer Bobby the Blade is about to meet Old Sparky.
Says a lot about you.
Serial killer Bobby the Blade Galletta? Gillette for men is about to meet Old Sparky, 2,000 volts are going to send him into a horrific realm of pain and suffering. His victims are bound to turn Bobby's afterlife into an unimaginable and infernal torment. And this goes on, but this is a really long house description and I don't want to read it. But I remember kind of just being like, okay, so it's like, it's the in-between with prison and like murder. And I remember really shitting on it back in the day, and I rewatched it, and I'm like, there was some like impressive stuff. And I had to think, like, why did I hate it so much? I remember there being something with like the lighting being very bright, like it being a very bright house for a 3D house, and like clearly relying on darkness. I feel like that may have been a contributing factor in why we didn't like it back then. But like re-looking at it, there was like some really beautiful things they did with this house. There was this scene where it was like plexiglass, and there were like these newspaper headlines that were like triple stabbing, homicide, body found, and they were done in the day glow chroma depth color. It was a 3D house. This was a 10 house. I'm sorry, I'm such a bad host. And the way the 3D glasses would pair with this like plexiglass is it was literally like just words floating in the air, and it was so effective and good. And I remember that like truly being like a standout moment in like any 3D house, not just like a moment in this house. And there was another moment with these like, there were victims wrapped in cellophane like in Dexter, and they'd all been like stabbed in the heart and the blood was like glowing, that being really cool. And it was like a room with a bunch of them, and there's the mirrors, and one of them's an actor. We know how that's done. Another room that was like the guy's like on the wall. I'm gonna show footage. And like he's getting like electrocuted, but it's done in 3D. All of that really effective. I don't know why I hated this house. I don't know why I have such like bad memories, because like when I looked back at it like after the fact, honestly I was kind of impressed and felt bad. So to end on a positive note, perspective changes things, and time is I don't know, bullshit. Tell me what to say. Perspective changes with time, and time is bullshit. And I'm old now, and now I guess I think that Afterlife Death's Vengeance was, well, not good, but like better. Well, there we have it. That is episode 1's house content. So tell me, please, down below, do you agree? Do you disagree? Am I completely off base? Did you not go to any of these years? Does this entice you to look into more? Tell me more, and do the YouTube thing. Push the button, ring the bell, subscribe, do the bullshit, and comment down below. This week, I really want to know, what is your least favorite Halloween Horror Nights house? I don't care how long you've been going, but if you have been going for a long time, if you've been going as long as I have or longer, tell me, try and keep up with me. Make your own list. I want to know every week. Tell me where you are. What's your 142? Let's keep up. Let's stay in contact, and let's start communicating. Message me online. I'll include a little email in the description box, and we can maybe schedule some hopefully some future guests to be on the show. So thank you guys, and once again, my name is Dakota, and thank you for tuning in to the Horror Nights Gauntlet, only on Cathode Coaster. You're really doing the thing. He's really going to town.
He's going for it.
He's like, I'm gonna clean every single one of these little paws.
Get the fuck out of there.
Get the fuck out of that litter box. He's like, and you guys are listening to me poop. Ah, stop! I hate bathroom shy.